And one of those, in actual fact, ironically, who left this country, 30 years ago, and has made a real name for herself in Australia and been extraordinarily successful, joins us now, our Australian correspondent, Jaqui Lane. Jaqui, welcome to the show. When you left, honey, 30-odd years ago, were you intending to come back at any stage?
Good morning, Michael. Afternoon. Yes, I actually came over here to do a 2-year research assignment, and then I was planning to come back.
Yeah. So, and what eventually said, I'm staying? What made you say, you know what, Australia's going to give me a better future than New Zealand?
I think that it actually was as simple as that, is that I saw that there were more opportunities for me here, that the economy was more dynamic, and I was very fortunate that I got to run around Australia and interview a lot of successful business people. There was, I guess, just a more energy, and I kind of, was very fortunate in the project that I was doing, and I got connected very early, to a very dynamic, environment. In fact, it was, so dynamic. It was 6 months before the October '87 stock market crash. So it was firing on all cylinders for a while.
Yeah. And the other thing is, it's taken us a while, I think, for New Zealanders. I still don't think we've got there yet, to accept that we're not the first world country we think we are. Is Australia a first world country by comparison?
Oh, that's a tough question. I think it is. I also think New Zealand is. I think there's a different pace of life in New Zealand, and I quite like that. It's so if you're looking at Australia, it's cool. Living in Sydney and working here is, each city here has its own pace. But overall, Australia is a first world country, and it's engaged, more so internationally than it has been historically. So, and I guess New Zealand's just that bit further away.
Yeah, I'm just reading the statistics that the Australian government's put out as of June 2021, so it's a bit out of date, and I imagine it's gone up. But there were 560,000 New Zealand-born people living in Australia, the fourth largest migrant community in Australia, equivalent to 7.5% of Australia's overseas-born population, 2.2% of Australia's total population. I imagine that's gone up since, I think I saw something about 650,000 now. Why the kind of people that you're meeting, Jack, who are in Australia, who are Kiwis, who've moved recently, what have they moved for? The same reasons? Employment, education, society?
Yeah, I think opportunity, yeah. and a lot of people, that I've met who are recent arrivals, if you like, possibly even working for an Australian company in New Zealand, and then get an opportunity, a promotion or whatever, and come over. I'm sure that we've got a lot of New Zealand tradies here, because tradies earn a great lot of money here. And then also a lot of New Zealanders head off to the mine sites as truck drivers and all sorts of things, because a truck driver out in Western Australia can earn $200,000 a year.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
What's so negative about that? I would have thought then we'd all go, but it's a pretty tough, rough lifestyle, isn't it, Western Australia mining?
Yeah, well, you're typically what they call FIFO workers, which is fly in, fly out. So a lot of the mines have work camps, and they fly people in for 2 weeks and then rotate them out for 5 days. So it's work hard, then a bit of time off. But if you're a younger person and you want to work a couple of years there, you might, and there's not much to spend your money on, quite frankly, in those communities. You could bank a couple of $100,000 and set yourself up.
The cost of living in Australia, I mean, you've been back enough to know, is there's a lot of anecdotal evidence. I don't think it's ever been settled definitively one way or the other. But what's your experience? Is the cost of living cheaper if you include everything from building your own house or buying a house through to the cost of food and healthcare, etc.?
I think, again, it depends where you live. Sydney's very expensive. I think it's the fifth most expensive city in the world to buy a house, or even higher. But, I was over in Queenstown in July last year, and I was shocked at the price of your petrol.
Oh, yeah, rightly so, yeah.
I'm like, God, it can, cost half your life to fill up your car. And I was shocked at the ski lift ticket prices, which had gone up a lot since I was last there. Supermarket shopping, relatively comparable. And housing, I'm sure housing I know housing in Auckland's gone through the roof, a bit like Sydney and Melbourne. So not that much different, but depending on where you choose to live in Australia, and I guess New Zealand too, to a degree, you can live a pretty nice life. Well, if you're in a more not in a major city. And
in your experience, I mean, I have a sort of a perception, but I wonder if my perception's right or wrong. New Zealanders used to just go to Sydney and Melbourne, and that was the sort of place, and that was the attraction, like yourself. But I got the perception that about the turn of the century, or maybe even the late 90s, New Zealanders started flocking to Queensland, and where would you think most of those Kiwis would be resident now? Queensland, West Australia, Victoria, New South Wales?
Look, I think different age groups go different places. So, there was a period when kind of semi-retired or retiring New Zealanders would go to Queensland.
Yeah.
Great weather, nice lifestyle, and it was affordable. So I think, that was true. I think these days you'd find that most of them still probably do the eastern seaboard states, Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, and then you get the younger generation who are the FOFO workers and things like that. And there's still a lot of resources up in Queensland, so a lot of younger people, younger families might be going there because there's really good job opportunities in non-service areas. And then you get, I guess, the group of people who are professionals who typically would go Sydney, Melbourne, and then perhaps a little bit of Perth. There's a reasonable New Zealand population in Perth, more South Africans than New Zealanders, but depending on the age group, I think they kind of go different places.
Okay, let's go to what's been happening in Australia in the last week, and I just want to start off on a light topic first. Barnaby Joyce.
Oh.
Now, Barnaby Joyce was, I think, a former Deputy Prime Minister. He was the leader of the National Party. He was a Deputy Prime Minister because the Liberals National Party have a coalition. I don't know, he's still currently a Member of Parliament. I don't know what you'll be able to tell me what his current status is within the National Party over there. But he was a bit, to be honest with you, drunk, sitting on a planter, main sort of urban area I don't know where of, but you'll tell me. And then he fell off it. And then on his back, decided that he wasn't going to move. He was on the phone to somebody, swearing away, having a great old time, completely clothed with tie and suit in the early hours of the morning. This has become a big issue over there. Why?
Oh, look, Barnaby, Barnaby is Barnaby. He's this knockabout member of the National, a member of the National Party. He's always been a bit kind of, knockabout and direct and very kind of, that's the way he is. And he was in Canberra, had just finished, I think, a party meeting room, had gone out to dinner. Was, had a few too many, was apparently sitting on the planter box talking to his wife, and fell off and decided that he would continue conversation with his wife on the ground, which he did.
And somebody took a photo of him, presumably.
Well, yeah, and I guess there's kind of two things there, is that, it's not a good look for anybody to be doing that. And then there's a whole debate around the fact that the person who actually took the photo and the video didn't actually stop to bother to help him up.
Oh, yeah, well, that's right, yeah. No good Samaritan there.
I mean, really, you take yes, and it's Barnaby, but really, you might take the photo and then go and offer to see if he's okay. But, he was lying on his back and, who knows, perhaps telling his wife that, he'd just fallen off a planter box and he decided to stay there and continue the conversation.
If that happened in New Zealand, I would imagine that there would be censure and ridicule but in Australia, I'm getting he's a larrikin. I mean, he's allowed to do that. Yeah, what are you doing? Sort of stuff. There's a bit of a pushback on that, is there?
There's two reactions. I mean, the memes and stuff that are coming out are just hilarious. They've got the picture of Barnaby in all these famous Australian paintings. They've inserted into various paintings, and some of them are hilarious, and then they've put a chalk mark around the footpath, the outline of very foul. I mean, Australians are particularly funny when it comes to this sort of thing. He has been asked to take a week off by his party.
Really? That's a bit more serious.
That he needs to take personal leave, and his comment was that he's on medication. I mean, and he says, "Well, I'm on medication, and the medication said I shouldn't mix it with drink because it's not good, and clearly it's not."
Listen, to be honest with you, who doesn't mix? Whenever I read that on the bottle, I go, "Oh, bugger off," and I still go and have a glass of wine. Are you the same?
Oh, yes,
when it says,
much. Yeah.